Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us. Welcome to our Arts Insights Live. My name is Nagam Weeby, and I'm the president of Arts Consulting Group, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. If you're joining us live, please drop a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We always love knowing who's in the room with us. And if you're watching this recording later, even if it's not live, also drop us a comment because we always like to see who has watched the recording. So today's Arts Insights Live, usually our Arts Insights Live, for those who don't know, they're a series featuring candid conversations on the trends, data, ideas shaping the arts and culture field. And most of the time we come here to have a casual conversation. We don't have all the answers, but those are conversations that are needed, are important. And sometimes on our Arts Insight Lives, we also highlight positions where ACG is engaged in executive searches, uplift the importance of leadership transitions, and highlight strategies as well. And for today's Arts Insights Live, we are going to be talking about the Ragazzi Boys Chorus. We recently partnered with the organization on the search for their next artistic director, and we really found ourselves reflecting on the broader question, what does it take to build an organization that develops not only artistic excellence, but also the next generation of leaders? And Ragazzi Boys has spent nearly 4 decades, working with young people, helping them develop not only as musicians, but as confident individuals, collaborators, and leaders. Joining me today and joining us are Gaurav Koptu, Jeremy Regent, and Melody King. They're part of the search committee for the next artistic director, and we'll be having a great conversation together about the organization, but also about the role. Thank you all for being here today. Before we start, maybe we can do brief introductions for your role beyond the relationship. I know we have a Ragazzi alumni and parents, and you're on the search committee, but just about you a little bit beyond the connection to Ragazzi. Gaurav, would you like to start?
Sure, I'm Gaurav. I've got I'm a Ragazzi parent. I've got 2 boys in the program. Very proud of that. I also serve as board treasurer for the organization and in my spare time as a tech investor here in the San Francisco area.
Thank you. What about you, Melody?
Hi, I am a parent of 2 boys in the chorus, and outside of being a parent, I work at Stanford in medical education, and I sing opera, I do acting, and I do stage directing.
It's amazing. Jeremy?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremy Regent. I am one of the aforementioned Ragazzi boys, all grown up. And about 15 years ago, we formed an alumni chorus called Ragazzi Continuo, and I've been singing with that since I was formed, which has been wonderful. And when I'm not singing, I work at Congregation Beth Am, which is a Reformed synagogue in Los Altos Hills.
That's amazing. Thanks again for being with us today. For those who are watching who may not be familiar with the Ragazzi Boys chorus, maybe Gaurav, you can tell us a little bit about the organization.
Yeah, sure. So Ragazzi is a storied organization. We're a Grammy Award-winning choral organization, really dedicated to transforming the lives of boys through the power of music, educational discipline, and performance excellence. We're based in the San Francisco Bay Area and serve boys ages 5 through 18. We have a comprehensive training program that emphasizes, vocal technique, music literacy, personal growth, etc. The mission of the organization is to educate boys to perform choral music to the highest standards of excellence. But it goes beyond just the music. The mission is also to instill self-confidence, cooperation, leadership, sensitivity, tenacity, and to build young men of character and distinction.
Thank you for sharing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that during our conversation. But I wanted to ask each of you, based on your experience, what do you think makes the Ragazzi experience unique? Jeremy, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I was thinking about that, and getting back into the mindset of a kid, you're kind of pushing the boundary of taking risks. And I think one of the things that Ragazzi does is it gives you a framework to really take risks and do something a little scary at first, as you're learning how to sing and perform and to express big emotion through music. It's a really productive and special and unique thing that a kid can do. And, Gaurav talked about excellence and love of music and team, and that's all so true. I can tell you from my experience that it was a unique experience to feel responsible to a group of my peers and my friends when I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, making something that we were trying to make beautiful. Like you don't really get to do that. You're on a soccer team, you're like trying to win, right? Like this isn't trying to win. You're trying to create something ephemeral and passing, which is like music and art. I think it's a special thing for a kid to be able to do.
It's amazing. Thanks for sharing. What about you, Melody? What do you think makes the Ragazzi experience unique?
Well, Ragazzi experience, it starts at a very young age, like 4 and 5 years old, if you want to start that early for like kind of a music classroom. But once they start in choir, there's different groups for different levels. But as they progress, they're learning how to work together to make this sound. But at the same time, they're simultaneously learning music from different genres, different eras, different languages. And as they progress in their choir levels, they are able to then go on regional tours, domestic tours, and also international tours. So, as they get to the to the middle school, high school period of their life, they're getting this kind of once in a lifetime experience almost every single year as they get to tour and really immerse themselves in all the different arts and learning about history of places and how people live now, what ancient history might have looked like, being able to perform in a cathedral in Europe, stuff that you can't really experience just living in this area. And so I think as they do all of that, they're learning about leadership. They're learning about how to be a mentor to the younger boys, and the younger boys are looking up and saying, wow, that's kind of you're looking up at the bigger boys and saying, wow, that's the way I want to be. And so, it's a growth that happens over time naturally. And so I think that's what makes it very, very special.
Yeah, definitely. The organic, it's just it just happens without having to like talk about it. I had the privilege of watching the concert back, I don't know what month was it, but the pride with the boys and even with the teachers, the parents, there's like a sense of it's a very unique experience that I've experienced as an audience member. And then announcing the international tour and the excitement where they're going to go this year, that's very unique as well. Gaurav, anything to add about what makes the Ragazzi experience unique?
Yeah, I mean, the program's a real commitment for both the boys and the families. You meet once or twice a week, sometimes on Saturdays as well. There's concerts throughout the year. All the traveling commitments that Melody mentioned. So I think that it requires a lot of discipline to participate.
Mm-hmm.
And then that also leads to forming really deep friendships amongst the kids. And they're meeting kids that they may not normally meet in their school. Kids who love music, who love the arts. And so, I think when you talk to most of the participants, they say like these are friendships that will last a lifetime and experiences that they wouldn't get anywhere else.
That's amazing.
And can I just jump in? That's been my experience too. Like I still sing with these guys that I've been singing. I'm not an old person, but I've been singing with some of these guys for more than 30 years. And that's a really special relationship.
And Jeremy, you talked a little bit about the alumni group. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how was it created and what do you all do? How do you participate?
Yeah, so it's a group. It's a chamber group of all alumni, and we kind of formed organically 15 years ago. And we perform music that is really kind of, I think, in the tradition of Ragazzi Boys Chorus, so some classical stuff, some modern stuff, and everything in between. And it's self-organized, and we do get a lot of really wonderful support from Ragazzi Boys Chorus. They help us find rehearsal space. They help us with, bringing in clinicians and stuff periodically. And we have a great relationship with some of the emeritus and emerita directors, Joyce Kyle and Kent Ju. Like, it's I think a testament to a really strong organization with strong roots that we elected, as young adults, that we were going to carry it forward. It was so important to us as kids.
That's amazing, and that's also very unique in a way. You all talked a little bit about the qualities that the young folks develop, not only as musicians, but as leaders, as teammates, as confident individuals. What is it about? And you all touched on it a little bit, but is there anything more about the arts or perhaps the choral music specifically that develops those qualities in a way other experiences sometimes cannot? And maybe I'll start with you, Melody, and then others can jump in.
So with choral music, I remember the first time I heard a choir sing, I was in second grade, and it blew my mind that they were singing 3 different parts at the same time and how beautiful that sounded. Because, it wasn't something I could really hear in school. And then once the rehearsal process started as a child, we had to learn like all parts. And I think that kind of happens at Ragazzi too. We just kind of know everybody's parts, but because you're all listening to each other and and that's all forming together. And I think that does something to your brain for the way you really notice things. You're really in tune. And so, as I moved on to like solo singing or chamber singing, it's very different from choral singing, because choral singing, there's all these people that come together to make this beautiful sound, and there's a lot of trust that has to go in there. And to be able to experience that like a couple nights a week as you go to rehearsal, and then present that to all your loved ones that are there for your concert, and people that inspire to hear your music, it's such a gift for yourself and to the audience too that's receiving that. And I think over time, as you grow up, you realize how much of an impact that made on your life and also to others too. But I think that's what makes choral music just so special. And when I see people that I worked with like years ago, it's just that relationship, that bond never dies. And it's just so heartwarming. And I think it's not just like creating music, but creating friendships, lasting relationships with others. And so that's what makes choral music just so special. And to be able to do that as a child into adolescence is, it's you can't really get that anywhere else other than youth choirs or youth orchestras, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Jeremy or Gaurav?
Melody said it great. She was describing my experience.
Yeah. Also, one thing you've talked about is that discipline. Well, first, one thing I want to point out, when I went and saw the concert, they were also singing in other languages. Was that always, I'm just curious now, it's not part of the questions, but just tell us a little bit about that, because that's another level of skills to learn to understand and sing in other languages as well. Was that always a thing, or is that a new practice? Or tell us a little bit about that, if you know. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, it's from the beginning, it's been like that. And I remember, you don't think of it when you're a kid, but we were trained with the International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA, to learn the correct pronunciation and consistent pronunciation of lots of different languages growing up. And the way that we did it as kids is that each letter of the phonetic alphabet had a different ice cream flavor. So was pistachio, right? And so there are ways that like kind of a smart educator, a music educator brings really sophisticated, like I was in college studying like linguistics course, right? I'm like, oh, that's IPA. I know that from when I was 8 years old. Like, and by the way, I like passed out of college level music theory based on the things I learned when I was 8 years old at Ragazzi Boys Chorus. So like, it is an incredibly high level of education that the kids get. And on the side of like singing in different languages, like I think in many ways Ragazzi was ahead of the curve in being tuned into and celebrating cultures and traditions all around the world, not just a European or American tradition, but we were singing songs in Asian languages and African languages, and it's pretty amazing.
That's amazing. I want to just say hello to everybody who's putting comments. We have Johnny from Denver, Susan from Los Altos. We have from Portland. Thank you for watching us today. We have a few comments. Somebody said that glad that Ragazzi are providing an alternative to today's focus on hypermasculinity, so important for well-being. And then Susan wrote that love the idea of encouraging mentors. And then for those of you who are watching us, if you have any questions, feel free to add them in the comments and we'll try to get to it at the end of the live. So to go back to, I think one of you was saying about the discipline, because there's the weekdays, the rehearsals, there's the travel. And then one of the remarkable things about Ragazzi is that singers often remain in the program for many years as they progress through the different ensemble levels. So what keeps young people, especially in our world today where attention span is so short, like what keeps them committed to that journey? And I'm sure there's challenges as well but what, from your perspective, what keeps them committed to the journey and what can other organizations learn from it? And Jeremy, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I'll just speak from my experience. I think what I appreciate about Ragazzi is that I never felt like I was getting like the pediatric version of music. Like it was always really challenging and at a high level. And there was always kind of like an aspirational next thing that I could work and be committed towards. So whether it was performing with the San Francisco Symphony or the opera or collaborating with other groups or traveling domestically or internationally, like where else are kids going to get an opportunity to do that kind of thing? And like those things are scheduled year two in advance, right? So there's this really strong incentive for kids who are engaged by music and engaged by the process to be like, oh yeah, like of course I'm going to have to work out like a schedule of carpooling so I can do my soccer thing and also do Ragazzi, like of course. And it's like you spoke to it and Gaurav speaks to it's difficult to balance being
it's like
a kid.
Capacity management and time management from
you're a 10-year-old and you're like having a calendar, like what is that? But that's the reality we are today. And I think what Ragazzi offers is like extreme reward for a real commitment. And I think it's exciting that like the next person to kind of take the steering wheel of this organization can take us into a new and even deeper experience of that.
And from a parent perspective, Gaurav and Melody, any thoughts or insights about that commitment that the boys have or the young folks have? Or even the commitment to the parents too, because you have to make it work.
Yeah, look, I think as you in the beginning, so Ragazzi kind of consists of multiple levels: primary, premier, Avanti, and then concert group, and then there's a program for boys whose voices have changed called Young Men's Ensemble. And so they have different levels of commitments, sort of giving options to boys. So in the beginning, it's sort of once a week, but then as you become more and more committed to the program, and there's a process by which boys choose what they're passionate about as they get older. But as you get to those later stages, it becomes at least twice a week for 2 hours each. And overnight summer camps and international tours. What I will say is that those bonds and connections between the kids become even stronger. They start to see the value. Like my kids, go to Ragazzi, super excited, right? Even though it's late at night and they're tired and they just came from school, right? So they're excited. And then there's a huge payoff and reward, not just with the friendships they've made and all the musical skills they've learned, but they get to, in recent years, they performed at the Sydney Opera House. They've performed all across Germany and the Czech Republic. They just came back from a trip to Chile and Argentina and Uruguay, right? And so these incredible international experiences, being exposed to so many different things, it's a lot of fun, right? So I think it's a lot of work for them, but they have a lot of fun. And so that's what keeps us all going at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I think the artistic director plays a big role also in the connection and keeping keeping them involved and engaged in that way. That transitions me to my next question. As Ragazzi searches for their new next artistic director, what leadership qualities feel most important for guiding an organization that's shaping not only artists, but future community leaders in a way? And I don't know, Melody, do you want to start us off? And I know we have a job description for everybody who's watching. There's a job description and there's everything listed there, but we wanted to get insights from the people behind the scenes that are involved, just as a casual, what are some of the important qualities?
I think just seeing Mr. Ju, who's currently in the position, it takes somebody who can notice little tiny details to the bigger picture. Because those little tiny details can really, change people's lives. Basically, when a child comes to you and say, "Hey, I noticed this," or "I'm feeling like this," he's able to speak to that and really listen to that individual. And then overall, he sees the bigger picture of what this does for the kids, but also just for the organization and the program itself. And so it takes somebody who can see all of that. Honestly, I don't know how he does it, because it's a lot. As a parent, we have to see the little things and the bigger things, but he's doing it for so many different kids. And so it takes that kind of commitment to be able to say, okay, I'm going to notice all of this and see the bigger picture and, help them with their learning the music and conducting and all of that. But outside of just the immediate choral music part, it takes a lot of different relationships and different levels of understanding overall, I think, for that position.
Thank you. So somebody who can see the little details, but see the big pictures, stay committed to both in a way. Jeremy or Gaurav, anything to add?
I was always impressed. Go ahead, Gaurav.
I think, first off, the organization is really unique. These are kids in elementary school and middle school and all the way through high school, but working with those younger kids, requires a unique set of skills. Be able to balance, how do you, discipline, but also make sure that they're having fun and learning at the same time. And these kids come from very diverse backgrounds. We have kids from over 100 schools in the Bay Area, and so that's a skill in of itself to manage all of that. The organization, the artistic director sets the tone for the organization, the types of music that we sing, the programs that we get involved with. For example, we sing at with the SF Symphony or various opera organizations or other choirs, and so really charts the course forward for where the organization's going. And then I think one of the biggest responsibilities for this artistic director is really it's not just the artistic director teaching the boys. We have over 200 kids in the program. We have a whole host of directors for each level that come in on the weekends. In the evenings, usually after their day job, to teach the kids, and they're some of the top people in the area. And so we've got the artistic director's responsibility is to find those people, recruit them, retain them, so the boys can experience, the absolute best teaching out there. And so, these are it's a as Melody mentioned, it's a big job, and each one of those things has a lot of details associated with it. And then I'll add one more thing. We're a nonprofit. Parents pay for tuition, and of course we have scholarships that we give to kids in need. Um, but you have to constantly sort of, if you want to grow the program, raise money. Grant funding has been challenging, as everyone knows, in the last several years, and so a lot of our donations come from both alumni and parent families and people who have been around the organization for many years. And I think it's part of the artistic director's job to make sure that those folks are inspired to give and have a vision for the future.
Mm-hmm. And Jeremy, you were going to say something?
I was going to say a worse version of what Gaurav said. So that's great.
Sorry, I stole your show.
No, it's great.
So I know we're in the middle of, like, Arts Consulting Group is currently conducting the search for the Ragazzi's next artistic director. For those who are watching or who are going to watch this recording later, who might be interested in the role or know somebody who would be, what makes this opportunity particularly exciting? I mean, I'm excited just talking to you all for the last 20 minutes. But if you want to sum it up in one sentence or two, what makes this opportunity particularly exciting at this moment in the organization's history?
Okay. I mean, this is an opportunity to have an impact on the lives of hundreds of kids and hundreds of families, and to set people on a course of lifelong commitment to music and to other people who are similarly committed.
Thank you. That's beautifully said. Any additions, Gaurav or Melody?
Yeah, I mean, the founder of Ragazzi, Joyce Kyle, and then Ken Ju, who is the current artistic director and executive director, they've done an amazing job. The organization is extremely healthy. We have great enrollment. We're financially healthy. The programs are already rich, and so you're, as someone coming in, you're really taking over something that's amazing already. I think the world more and more needs organizations like Ragazzi, and there are very few of them. And so there's an opportunity for someone to come in and make it even more special, right? And I think that's an extremely exciting opportunity.
I think I agree with all of that. And, as musicians, as conductors, and we have come with all the experience that we gained throughout our lives. And I think to be able to give that gift to children from, kindergarten to high school, and help nurture all of that, I think it doesn't come by very often. And so I think like you said, it's a very well-established organization. And so, you're inheriting something that's great, and you get to put your mark on it, right? To be able to share your own, what you've learned, and remember all the things that have happened on the way, all the paths that you've taken to become the, musician that you are, the conductor that you are, and be able to bring that, I think is just an amazing opportunity.
Is there anything unique about it, because it's Ragazzi, not just like any chorus? Anything to add just specifically about Ragazzi?
I mean, boys got energy, right? Like, it's a special group of kids. And, all kids are special, and it's you should be excited by like a kind of indefatigable energy, because like as the alumni course, we rehearse right after the completion of the boys rehearsal, and when they're coming out of that room, even though they've been like focusing and disciplined for 2, in some cases 3 hours, they come out and they're jazzed. They're jumping, they're singing. It's energy. It's like it's not this abstract, oh, there are kids who like music. You get there and you feel it in your bones. These boys love to sing, and that's very special.
It's amazing. Well, thank you so much. Any last words before we wrap for today? All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. For those of you who are watching, if you are interested in the role or if you know somebody who's interested, please check the job description, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you want to learn about the organization more, we'll put their website in the comments as well. Gaurav, Melody, and Jeremy, thank you so much for being here today and also for serving on the search committee for this search. It was really great having you on our Arts Insights Live. For those of you who watched today, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next Arts Insight Live in a couple weeks. Have a great day and happy holiday weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.